What's up, everyone? It's your boy NornRad89 here, bringing you another video. And today's going to be kind of a little bit of a different video. We got some recent news with the Oscar nominations announcements that we have some horror films that actually made it into Oscar nominations this year and are nominated and could possibly win at the Oscars. So I actually wanted to discuss this. This is going to be kind of almost a semi-rant video, but also a celebration video. So I'm trying to tackle a lot in this video, but like I said, we have some really fantastic announcements of Alien Romulus, Nosferatu, and The Substance all got nominated for Oscar awards, and I'm not going to brag, but all three of those were in my top 5 horror of last year. So I'm not bragging or anything like I saw this coming, but I saw this coming. No, I was joking. No, for real. But these 3 films all offer some amazing things. And like I said, I want to discuss with the Oscars, now that they're acknowledging horror more, what's going to have to happen in the future and what they're going to have to accept from the past, like decades that they've neglected of ignoring horror. So let's get down to this video. Roll it. So it's no secret that the Oscars is absolutely probably the biggest award show. This is the one that the most people go for. A lot of people do love the Screen Actors Guild Award. You know what I mean? There's also the Emmys and stuff like that. But in terms of the one that draws in the most people, the one that gets the biggest buzz going on, it's going to be the Oscars. And with the recent Oscar nominations that came out this year, we have The Substance got nominated. They got nominated for Best Film, and also I believe it was Best Director as well. And we have Demi Moore getting nominated for Best Lead Actress. Then we have Nosferatu got nominated there as well. I believe this one was for special effects, I think, and stuff like that. So there's a few of them spread out, but they didn't get nominated for Best Picture. And then Alien Romulus got nominated as well at the Oscars. And this video kind of came up after the whole announcement of the nominations, and I love the fact that I'm very proud that there are horror films, horror directors, and all that kind of stuff that are getting the nods now. And it's happening a little bit more recently. I believe Jordan Peele's Get Out was one that got nominated recently. Of course, Silence of the Lambs was nominated and stuff like that, but it's not that often. It really isn't, compared to how many Oscar ceremonies we've had over the years and decades and decades and decades. Horror has always been kind of viewed as that ugly kind of stepchild. That's the way that the Oscar community, the nominees, and all those people that vote for the Oscar nominees, that's kind of how they view horror films. So the fact that now horror is slowly creeping its way into, it just makes it more noticeable and more notified. Like I said, the horror community, we've realized for decades and for years that this is something that should be nominated and should be winning awards. Like I said, in terms of performances, in terms of special effects and visual effects, there are horror films that I've seen accomplish things better than Marvel films. Like, people praise Marvel movies and they praise all these big budget blockbusters that cost millions and millions of dollars, but it's like, I've seen performances and I've seen visual effects that are better than so many of these movies that get nominated at the Oscars. So that's why this video is kind of a celebration video, like I discussed, of why I'm proud of horror and why I'm proud of Coralie Farge and like The Substance and Nosferatu and Alien Romulus and Get Out and Jordan Peele, but also kind of rant videos, because now the Oscars are going to have to acknowledge the fact that for decades they've been putting horror aside. And if they're going to start letting us in, they're going to start letting horror movies in and directors and writers and accepting these stories and stuff, they're going to have to realize that now we're probably going to have to add, like, to me, if I was an Oscar committee person, I would add a best horror, best thriller category. I would just do that. That just makes the most sense to me. If you're going to start acknowledging horror as a genre and start accepting these movies into Best Picture and these directors and these visual effects, special effects, and these writers, you're going to have to make a category for them. And I believe just literally just make a best horror, best thriller category, so you could at least crown a champion in that category, but also have one maybe nominated for Best Picture or two. bring in some actors and actresses. And like I said, there's been so many actors and actresses in films that have been snuffed for decades. Like I said, decades and decades. Like I can go through so many years. If you want to string through the 80s, the 90s, there are so many times that I can name you a horror film that probably deserved to be nominated for at least Best Picture or win that year over something that won. So I don't want to get too aggressive or too wild or energetic. Like I said, it's just something I'm very, very passionate about. You know, like I love horror. This is a genre that I've been following my entire life. And it's like I said, for years and years, it's been kind of viewed as that ugly stepchild, which is cool too, because that makes you feel like as a horror fan, you're kind of a rebel. You know what I mean? Like no matter what, we see things that nobody else sees. But like I said, the fact that the Oscars have kind of, like I said, over the last like 10 years, slowly been letting horror kind of creep in more into the nominees categories and stuff like that, or even win in categories and stuff. It's like now you have to accept the fact that we have to make a new category for them. And that is the reason why I would say make that category, is to acknowledge that for decades prior to that, you have ignored horror basically. You know what I mean? Viewed it as something else, which is crap. That's bullshit, because it's like when you go to cinema and you go to movies, it's an art form. It shouldn't matter what genre a movie is. If a movie is fantastical enough, if the story is good enough, if the characters are great enough, and it's gripping enough, and it is something that brings people to the screens and people are talking about it online, why can't it be nominated for Best Picture or Best Movie or Best Screenplay? That's what I mean. The genre should not matter. And for years and years and years, the Oscars have said to you, horror doesn't matter to people, and they're liars. Now they're coming to they're liars. They have to face the fact now that it is very possible that with the Oscars coming up now, that The Substance might win Best Picture. And if that is going to be the case, a lot of people are calling it a dark comedy, which I can view The Substance as a dark comedy, but first and foremost, what The Substance is a body horror film. It is not a dark comedy. It is clearly the first thing it is ever like represent. It is a body horror film that has a lot of really important things to say, and that's why I love it. And I appreciate the fact that they nominated Demi Moore too for Best Lead Actress. I do feel like Margaret Qualley kind of got snuffed for Best Supporting Actress. She could have got at least a nomination, but for real, what's happening now in the futures and what's going to come, I'm excited to see, because like I said, I'm expecting more horror to be on the list next year when we see the Oscar nominees. And if there isn't, we're going to see, or at least the horror category and thriller category, because let's see what happens, because you could at least combine them. Horror, thriller, you could have detective stories in there, you know, films that aren't necessarily complete horror, but they're horror adjacent, and then also have your more extreme stuff, you know what I mean? Of course, I don't expect Terrifier 4 that's coming by Damien Leone. They probably deserve to be nominated for special effects and visual effects, especially what he accomplishes on screen, but I'm not going to expect them to be nominating Terrifier 4 for Best Picture. But in the future, I do think the Oscars are going to start being more accepting of horror and thriller, because that's also the genre that's kind of thriving and really providing a lot of the money for a lot of these production companies. So I hope you all enjoyed this video. Like I said, this was a mini rant, mini celebration video, something different. You know, it was going to be a lot less editing. This is kind of just me chatting, being open with you, talking about it. And it's been a while since I did a video, but you know, so life gets busy. I've been training people at work recently. There's a lot of stuff going on in my home life and stuff. And, you know, I try to pump out these videos consistently, but yeah, there are times where I do kind of fall back into the wayside, but I'm proud that I got this video done. It's going to be out there, but be sure you stay tuned to the channel, like, subscribe, all that jazz, because I really appreciate it, because you want to stay up to date on all the videos that are coming out soon. But most importantly, I want you all to have a safe and happy day. Peace out.